We are live. Yes. Okay. So, in our conversation prior to going live, you guys mentioned the Money Bee challenge. So, Matt, were you involved in that? Jennifer, did you guys jump in there today?
Yeah,
You
I was
did?
in there listening.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
Cool, cool,
which
cool.
challenge?
The Money Bee challenge.
I was not in that one.
Okay, so I'm going to put a link in the chat for all of those listening as well. There's a Money Bee challenge that started today, and it's about scaling your business. A lot of nuggets that are there. Pace is going hard with that, and so it's a 2 day event. And so tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m., you can jump in there as well. So I'm going to put the for those in the chat, I'm going to put the Money Bee challenge link in the chat so you guys can jump in there, sign up, and be ready for tomorrow. Today we're excited. We have my man Matt Peck. Matt is in Canada. Matt, what's going on, brothers?
What's up, man? Yes,
Oh man,
sir. It's a beautiful day in Canada.
yes, pleasure to meet Matt. So prior to going live today, I realized that the three of us were at Squad Up, um, and we have some Canadians in here. So this is really cool. You said something funny earlier, Jennifer. You're like, yeah, we do real estate in Canada. So we that was very funny. So okay, without any further ado, let me step to the back and let you guys do your thing. Matt, it's a pleasure, brother.
Yes. We'll see. Are you going to be in community? And he's gone.
Say
Are
again.
you going to be in community camp? Are you going to be in Montana?
I will be. I will
I'll
be.
see you in July. July?
Yeah, July. Yes, I
I'll see
definitely.
you
I
there.
get. I get a hug, brother.
All right. Done. Done deal.
Okay, Canadian, a Canadian deal. I
I
love
love
it.
it.
Let's talk about it. What deal are we talking about today?
Yeah. So we'll talk about the deal that I was filming on the podcast, and that was my sevenplex that I closed in November in Beresford, New Brunswick, which is out on the east coast, and it borders Maine for all the
Okay.
yeah. So it's right on the east coast. It's got lots of beaches in the summer. It's a beautiful spot. Boardwalks on the beach. Wicked cold and lots of snow in the winter, but it's a beautiful little town, and the province of New Brunswick's actually really thriving for investors right now. You can still get a lot of cash flow plays, a lot of good spots for equity plays. So you kind of get a good mix of both. So, yeah, a lot of Ontario investors actually are going out east to the East Coast for landlord friendly reasons. So, yeah.
I don't think it's just the East Coast. I think it's a very talked about province Canada wide because of what you said, the landlord friendly, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up finding the deal?
So fun. The deal actually came in a funny way. I had been trying to close creative deals for a few months, and I was having a hard time. I was kind of struggling, and I ended up taking a mindset course, which totally changed the trajectory for me. And I learned to stop kind of forcing everything, and I started putting my energy and focus instead of looking on search engines for deals, and I started building authentic connections with other people in the business. And that's really what sparked this deal for me. Is I ended up flying out to New Brunswick because I wanted to form a real connection with the agent who's the top agent out there, instead of most people just text or call or send an email like, hey, I'm interested in property. I'm like, I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to fly out there and spend a day, let this guy get to know me for who I am, and then form that base and that foundation for a relationship. So I flew out there. I want to say it was last October, and literally a month later, I get a text message, and it's like, "Hey, I've got this deal coming back on market. It was under contract. The buyer couldn't close, and you've got 1 hour until I post it live for the sharks in the water." And I was like, "Oh, here we go." And I was like, "Okay, give me like 20 minutes." So I grabbed my whiteboard and my markers, and I'm underwriting like a fiend. I'd been underwriting 2-3 deals a day for the last 3 years before that point, and just underwriting like crazy, just to the repetition and really getting comfortable with underwriting. Because as an investor, that's, I mean, Jennifer, as an
Yeah.
investor, that's where the money's made, is in the underwriting, right? So I got really good at underwriting by doing a lot of reps, and learning from people who were ahead of me in the game. So he sent me the deal, and I said, let me underwrite this. Within, I want to say like under 10 minutes, I was like, this thing really is a good deal. I'm buying this. So I texted him back. I said, flip me the paperwork. I'll put an offer right now. And at the same time, I got a message from someone in a group that we both belong to up here in Canada who said, hey, I've got some cash. I've got some capital sitting here. I want to deploy it. I want to put it to work. And I was like, my head was kind of spinning. I was like, the deal and the lender who had enough capital at the same time within the same half an hour text me. And it was kind of mind blowing. And the deal literally fell together. And by no, like, I didn't force anything. I didn't look for it. It came to me. The only way I can explain it is like the universe, law of attraction. And once I kind of understood that law and learned how to raise my vibration and give back to other people more than myself, that's when I really started getting that success in real estate. So that's how this deal came to me. It was a text message. Within half an hour, I had an offer. It was accepted, had it funded, and that was it. And
That's
then like
amazing.
a month later, I closed on it. Yeah.
That's amazing. I won't go too deep into law of attraction because I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but I can totally relate. If you had told me, so I started in real estate March of 2020. If you had told me I would own over 300 doors and be doing massive development projects, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy. But like a year ago, I really got into the same stuff that you're talking about, and it just exploded tenfold. So yes, I hear what you're saying. I find it so interesting that you flew out. I started in New Brunswick. I still haven't been. I need to go. I need to like see assets in person, but one day. So I guess you didn't use anyone from the sub-2 community for your deal.
Not on this one, no.
Yeah.
No, but it was people from within another group, another community. So it was an investor community, and again, same type of deal where it's building those relationships, right? And that's really the important thing here, is forming those real, true, authentic relationships with the people in the community, right? So
yeah. And I think by doing that, you never know where a conversation's going to go, like answering someone's question, then they could have funds to lend on another deal, just like giving information for free, providing value. Like you just have no idea how that's going to come back around, or it might not. Like you have no idea, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Or you may not know, maybe down the road, they may need help from you. So it's just a beautiful thing. It's like if they can't help you, maybe you can help them. And if not today, maybe down the road. And every connection has potential. So I love networking. I mean, I'm naturally an extroverted kind of guy. So it fits very naturally for me to be out there. I mean, you saw me at Squad Up. I was all over. I was bouncing around the networking hall pretty much for hours. And it's just, it flows very naturally for me. So when I did step into the real estate arena, that part of it really felt good for me, because I was like, okay, I can just go crazy and just like meet everyone. And like, I'm happy to meet and chat people up. So
yeah. So how did you, being in Canada, find out about PACE and the sub-2 community?
I got into PACE. I think I saw his ad on, it was either Facebook or YouTube, and immediately just went down the rabbit hole, much like everyone else. I was like, what is this guy talking about? And then down and then down, and then YouTube video after YouTube video. And I was hooked. And immediately I reached out to the team and I was like, I need to be a part of this. I need to be doing what I need to do, sub-2 deals. This is amazing. My wife and I, we travel to Florida, once a year at least. We've always liked the States. Actually, my wife was born in Miami. So I'm like, naturally, I'm like, let's do this. It feels right. Let's go. It's a very different market. And this is a very different market than here in Canada. So it's full of potential. There's just volume wise, it's a lot bigger. And then when you throw on top of that, the creative financing side, which exists in Canada, but is not as prevalent in a lot of ways. Like wholesaling is not nearly what it is in the US. Sub-2 doesn't exist. It's completely non-existent. So I was drawn to that immediately. I was like, if I can buy houses sub-2 with like $0, this is the sky's the limit. So
Or apartment
immediately,
building.
oh yeah, or anything, yeah, or like Pace, like 200 units for
Yeah.
$0. It's like, how do you not want to be a part of that? And then once I joined, it was like immediately I felt the energy of the community, right? And I started
Yeah.
getting on calls with people and attending some of the calls, and then I had a battle buddy and batch leads and cold calling, right? And just started going through it and just full immersion into it. And it took a while, I think for a lot of people when they join Sub 2, it's a lot. It's overwhelming, and it can be a lot to kind of find your direction and where you want to go. When I joined, I had been in law enforcement for 16 plus years at the time, and I had a good income. So I didn't need to be a wholesaler. I didn't need today money. So I was like, I'm doing buy and hold. I see the value. I want to do that. Multifamily buy and hold. That's it. Right. So for me, it took a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just keep on track with what I'm doing here in Canada. Let's just keep the multifamily thing going. So that's how I kind of fell into it.
I think for people who are really excelling in Canada, it's just sort of like the next step of going into the US markets. For what you said, like population density, like it's just so much bigger. Their opportunities are so much more. They have so much more like information and data available. Like we have privacy laws. We can't see all the information up here like they can down there. So it's kind of just like that natural progression. And yeah, his community is so great. Like you can go into the Facebook group, post a question. Someone's been there, done that, and will like walk you through the whole thing if you're having a problem or anything like that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because we're in another group together in Canada, but you see that progression because investors will get to a point where they're kind of maxing out in the Canadian markets and they want more, they need more. And the options in the US are endless, right? Like you got Section 8 for cash flow play, you got multifamily for long-term equity play, like RV and mobile home parks, like good luck finding those in Canada. They're like few and far between, and then we only get 2 months of sun, like at best. And it's like it's a totally different world, and I love it. It's just I've been accepted into the community. I've just been met with so much love, and community is it's just really powerful. And everyone I meet, it's funny. I'm the groups that I run in up here in real estate, I'm known as the Sub 2 guy. Right, because nobody else is in Sub 2. I rock the hat. I'm always talking about pace. I'm spamming people videos of pace all the time, right? So I'm known as a Sub 2 guy because I can't get enough of it. Like the giving, the mindset, everyone's aligned with wanting to help each other, squatting up, teaming up, battle buddies. It's just I've never been a part of something where everyone wants to see each other win. You know what I mean? And like you can't join this community and not buy a ton of real estate. It's just not possible, So
I think in so many other groups, people share to a certain point, but then they have that like scarcity or lack mindset where they're like, oh, if I share that next level, they're going to be able to do it. But it's just not like that. Like he'll tell you everything. I mean, I tell everyone everything I do because I'm like, if you can do it, great, like go for it, right? How did you find like capital raising for that? You said it came really naturally. Have you done capital raising for any other deals?
Yeah. So backing up to that deal, it was at the forefront of when I was beginning to raise capital. And like a year ago, I had never raised capital ever. So I got into real estate by buying a little duplex with my own capital. And then I was maxed out, did a big renovation, did a burr. All my capital was in that thing. I didn't quite get all my money back out at the refi. I had to wait a little bit. I ended up getting it back by now, but at the time I was like, okay, now I'm maxed. I need to find a way to leverage OPM, learn other people's money, raise capital. So once I took the mindset course, that's when I actually learned how to raise capital because my mindset coach was like, just work with the universe and it'll provide it. And I'm like, that makes no sense. I don't know what you're talking about. So he's like, yeah, you literally just go in the backyard and raise your arms up and thank the universe for giving you the lender, and you go help someone else. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no way this works. So I did it. And lo and behold, in 4 months, I raised almost $1 million. I think 5 months in, I had raised $1 million, and I just kept going. So raising capital is something that I'm ever evolving and learning in. And, early on, it was all about, P notes and unsecured funds. And then it moved into second mortgages, secured funds, using registered RSPs. In the States, it would be 401ks. So there's a lot of different, there's a lot. When you get into the world of raising capital, there's just, there's a lot of information and a lot of learning to do. And I'm just getting into it. Like, I'm in my first year. We're talking about now. I joined the Owners Club. Actually, I think I might be flying down in a couple weeks to Pace's office to talk about the sub 2 fund. Nice. And so learning how to start a fund. Just there's so much to learn when raising capital. But I'll tell you this: the biggest 2 things that I've learned of raising capital is, number one, when you're good at real estate, when you get really good at underwriting good deals, then the capital comes naturally, because you can show your lenders, like, number one, I know how to execute because here's my track record. Here's the deal, and it's a beast. And I know it's a beast because here are my numbers. So when you have that ability, that's why underwriting is so key. Then you can show that confidence, right? I think the other part of it is when you're an authentic person, yes, then you can really portray that trust, right? So for me, it's twofold. It's really selling the fact that you know your stuff and you have good deals, and then being able to relay that you're a trustworthy person and why you are, right? So
yeah. And I think that's a big one, even what you were saying about mindset, going back to that, like, just like being a person that attracts like-minded people and like raising your vibration. People come to you. People want to do deals with you. They want to be like in your energy, in your circle, right? Yeah. So yeah, 100%. And I totally feel you on, like, I only started raising capital very quietly. Like, I would like put something on an Instagram story or like something like that. It was without any intention whatsoever. It's only been probably like 8 months to a year that I've really been like doing it actively. And yeah, so many different options, which is great, but also hard, I think, because if you're like, if there was an A, B, or C, it'd be a lot easier, but there's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and all of those. So yeah, it's lots of fun. And the same thing, it just goes back to every time is you never know where a conversation is going to take you.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Capital raising and building relationships kind of go hand in hand. And the more that you're out there, the more that you're networking, the more events you go to, the more you build that network. I mean, that saying that we've all heard before, that your network is your net worth, is so true in so many ways. And I think for a lot of people, when you get into real estate, you don't really quite know that that's going to be a part of it. At least if you want to do real estate on scale. I mean, you could buy a property a year and just stay at home and never meet anyone, and that's fine. But if you want to truly scale and like create a massively amazing life where you are worth hundreds of millions of dollars and you have hundreds of doors and you can fly around the world whenever you want and not have to stay at your W-2 and work for the man, and you don't have to ask for permission for time off. If you want a life like that, it requires stepping out of your comfort zone, and it requires getting into the rooms with those people who are much further ahead of you and being open to growing and learning, right? And I think for a lot of people in life, that's hard to do, especially when as you age, right? You get to be 30, 40, 50, like you're stuck in your ways. You don't really want to learn or grow. A lot of people out there think they know everything at a certain age. And so having that openness and that willingness to say, I want to learn every single day. And that's my mantra. I want to be in the room with people who are light years ahead of me. And I just want to continue to learn, right? Because that's the growth. And when I grow as a human, I know that everything else grows inevitably, right? So yeah.
I mean, even on, so like Pace was doing his Money Bee challenge this morning and he was talking about, he called a seller and he's like, this looks so easy for me, but it wasn't always like that, right? Like people see the him now and don't see like the years of practice it took, right? But yeah, I truly believe that the more uncomfortable you can make yourself on a daily basis, the more successful you will be. People think that like this, people are like, oh my gosh, you're so comfortable, you're so confident. It wasn't always like that, right? Like depending on who you're speaking with, like it's still uncomfortable. But I think the most uncomfortable thing for me would be being the same person next year. Like that is like the largest fear that I have. So yeah, to everything you said. And I know we're not supposed to talk, well, not supposed to, but we were talking about a deal in Canada. But let's talk about your first sub too. That's yeah.
Thank you. So actually it was kind of an interesting deal. This deal actually fully happened by law of assumption. I write my goals out every morning, and like, I don't know, a couple of weeks before Squad Up, I wrote for the first time on my goal sheet, close a sub 2 deal before Squad Up. And it ended up happening like 2 weeks before. So that blew my mind, that like when you actually get clear and dedicated in your goals and you start to really put energy and emotion behind those goals, how fast they can come to fruition. So yeah, huge. I mean, I became a mindset coach, so that whole we could talk forever about that, but that's how it came to fruition. But the deal itself was actually quite creative. So what happened was, Jamie Marcos in the group, he's in sub 2. He's a wholesaler he's doing RV parks. He's a media guy, great guy. If you haven't connected with Jamie, you got to talk to this guy. He reached out because we've had calls and we've just chatted, and I've said, I'm looking for this. And, we haven't had a deal come together quite up until that point. He said, I've got a deal and it's in Jacksonville, Florida. It's not a multi, it's a single family, but he's like, I'm looking to offload it. I bought it with a partner. The relationship ended and I can keep it myself, but I'm just looking to flip it, just get rid of it. So he's like, we closed on it under a land trust with his LLC. So he's like, we closed on it sub 2 and the debt's really low. It's a really good debt. And he said, my lender's actually willing to stay on. And I was like, really? For how long? I said, well, for 4 years. Amazing. So if the lender is willing to stay on, I was like, how much do you actually need? And he's like, 12 grand.
Oh
I'm like, God. Sold. So it was extremely creative because we didn't have to open escrow. We didn't have to do anything. It was literally going to the attorney. It was a 2-page document, ran title, and within like a week, it was done. I switched my C corporation for his LLC, and now I am the beneficiary of the land trust, and I own the home.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many different ways other than like putting your 20% down and buying it traditionally.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because there's still the majority of people out there, especially in Canada,
who
don't know anything else exists. They still think that the only way to buy a home is to put 20% down.
And their money.
With a bank, with their own money.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like you don't know what you don't know, right? But
it's what we're taught, right? Like that's the normal conversation everywhere. Like that's what you learn. So unless you go exploring or are interested in other things, like you would never find out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I find that too, like, and I'm sure you find that with raising capital, but when people are like, I can own an apartment building, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, who am I to own an apartment building? Like, I'm a normal person. Like, I just learned how to do this. Same with you, like, how do you buy a 7-unit, right? And it's like it's out there, it's available, but I think we just have to keep normalizing the conversation so that people aren't like, people think it's a scam. They're like, what do you mean I can own an apartment building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think really comes down to our limiting beliefs, right? Because most people are looking at buying an apartment, like
Yes.
one. And that for them is a big deal, right? And that you think about, why are we so programmed to think that is a big risk? Just buying one apartment is a big risk, right? And for most people, that's the biggest decision in their life, to buy their one family home or their one apartment or one condo, instead of, why can't I buy the whole building? Why can't I own 10 buildings? Why can't I own 100 buildings? Right? Like, there's no limit, right? Like, when my mindset coach and I met, and I told him I wanted one property a year for 10 years, and he said, close 5 in the next 2 months. It blew my mind. And I was like, this guy's insane. And then lo and behold, I went out and did it. And I showed myself, like, I accomplished a goal, a 5-year goal, in 2 months. What have I been doing? I've completely been limiting myself in just my beliefs, and that's what's been holding me back. And I think for a lot of people, if you took stock at the way that you're thinking, right, and in your own life and the way you look at things, I think most of us are limiting ourselves. It's funny, my mindset coach flew out here about a week ago. We had the multifamily conference here in Toronto. Elena Cardone, she was here. There were some big names speaking on stage. So my mindset coach, we fly out, we go to Canoe, one of the most famous restaurants here in Toronto. It's on like the 60th floor, overlooking the lake and the tower. And I'm like, this is beautiful. We should do this once a year. And of course, he replies with, we should do this every Friday night. And I'm like, okay, like, message received. I'm still thinking way too small all the time, right? And that's just the way our program is. And it's trying to undo that and just realize that if you want massive results, you have to believe that you can have them first, right? So,
and I think you have to make sure that you surround yourself with those expanders, right? And, so many people have never heard the saying, like, you're the sum of your 5 closest friends or whatever, but like, it's so true. If people are contracting all the time or like comfortable, you're not going to be able to expand with those friends, right? Like, you need to find friends or expanders in your life that are going to keep reminding you of like that, just those small limiting beliefs, right?
100%. Yeah. And your brain's full of them. Like, we tell ourselves a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And most of it's subconscious. You don't even realize, because you'll say things like, we should do this once a year. That sounds great. Not even realizing that that's a limiting belief. I thought I was saying something very exciting. And then he's like, let's do this every week. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to sub 2. If
Back to
someone's
real
on the
estate.
fence about joining sub 2, what would you tell them?
That's a good question. I don't know how you could be on the fence. Honestly, like if you know about sub 2, to know about it means you've probably watched Pace on YouTube, right? Like, we're the way technology is these days. You hear a name, somebody says, look this up, sends you a video, you get a clip. You can, at your fingertips, watch Pace break down in the most simple way what a sub 2 deal is, how they come together, and how he does creative financing. And like, when he did that it was like the 28 series learning creative financing 101 with Jerry Norton. I saved that video set and I send that out to people all the time, because I love that. Like, the videos, like the first 6 are insane. Like, I'm going to tell people, if you don't stop at 1, at least watch the first 6. They're insane. But if you're watching those things and I don't know how you could be on the fence. Like, I always ask people, like, a lot of people, I think, for the hesitation for buying courses in real estate is, it's a lot of money. And I think that's usually the number one thing, is like, wow, this is a lot of money.
To spend on yourself too, though, right?
My response is, can you afford not to? Instead of can you afford it, it's can you afford not to? Like, because when you look at the people who have gone into the program, they have 10x, 100x, 1000x that investment. And in a very short period of time, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at the house I bought. I bought a $250,000 house that's going to cash flow in a month when I get a tenant in there. I think I have like $70,000 worth of equity on the buy alone, and I got it for 12 grand.
Yeah.
So I got $70,000 of free equity. That paid for the house. That pays for the course. That got money in my pocket. I'm building equity. It's just, and that's the first deal. That's just like a tiny little, this is a little baby deal. This is a single family baby deal, you know?
Yeah.
And so my question would be back to them is, can you afford not to? How many years will pass you by where you're still just going to trade your time for money, right? Think of where you could be in 2 years of sub 2. You could own 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 deals versus not take the course, not spend the money, and still work your W-2 and still be paycheck to paycheck and still be in debt and still not own any real estate and still not have any equity. Can you afford not to?
Yeah.
Because the 2-year-old self, if you envision yourself 2 years from now, is going to tell you, you cannot afford to wait another day. You need to do this. Because look where I am in 2 years. Look where I am in 5 years. Look where I am in 10 years. And my mindset coach told me, he said, you're going to need a telescope to look back to see who you used to be a year ago. He was right. And when I took those mindset principles and I injected them into real estate, that's when I was able to close 6 multifamilies in 6 months. And that's, before that, I had never raised capital. I've never done anything like that. I owned one little duplex. That was it. Right. So
that's how I started. I started with a duplex too.
Great way to start. Great way to start.
Yeah.
Learn the basics.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed getting to know you more, chatting more about real estate. I'm sure you're going to do lots of things in the US.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We actually, I'm working with Spencer Bishop right now. Him and I are squatting up. Spencer and I have been chatting for a long time. We got to finally meet in person at Squat Up. We actually just had a call today, and I think last month we had 4 offers out on multifamilies, like some big ones, some hotels. Nothing's hit yet, but we're working. Like we're plugging away, and it's just a matter of time. So yeah, the possibilities in this community are really wild. I jumped on the Owners Club. It was a terrifying leap, but when Pace announced that on the stage, I was like, I'm in. I don't know what this is, but I'm in. I trust Pace. This guy is a go-giver through and through. The community he's created has given me so much. And if I can give value to the people in that group, I want to be a part of it. I want to be attached to it. I want to be wherever that is. I don't even know what it looked like, but it's once you see the value of this community, those opportunities come up and you don't even think, because you're like, yep, 100%, because what the $30,000 to get in, it wasn't even a thought in my brain. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That money will come and go. It doesn't matter. That community, to be in there with all these people, like-minded, big players. I mean, I met people at Squat Up who run $100 million funds. And I think back and I'm like, man, there was a time when I knew nothing about real estate. I was terrified. I listened to everyone I work with. They're like, that's so risky. You're going to lose it all. You don't know what you're doing, right? People lose money all the time. I'm like, that guy to today. And now I'm standing in a conference hall, shaking hands with someone who runs a $200 million fund saying, yeah, let's do business. You're an operator. You're buying multifamily. Yeah. Here, let's exchange information. I'd love to fund your deals. And I'm like, like what?
Right.
Get the telescope out, because the guy back there like 4 years ago doesn't recognize who I am today. Completely.
Is that how long you've been in real estate? Is 4 years?
I got in just after you. I started my first course back in 2020 and bought my first duplex in 2021, right at the height of COVID.
Okay. Yeah. Such an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I was buying properties in a bathroom because my mom lived with us during COVID, and she was so risk adverse that I couldn't let her into knowing what I was doing. So to look at where I am now to back then, it's so crazy. And it's only been 4 years, right?
Can I share something with you? That's funny you say that, because my in-laws, actually my own parents, same risk adverse, old mindset where it's like real estate is risky. You don't know what the market will do. You're going to lose it all. So many people that are smarter than you, they've lost it all. So to this day, I'm 4 years in. They don't know that I do real estate.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
They don't know. It's a secret.
Wow.
We're planning a reveal by the end of this year. We're planning a reveal. Yeah. But it's funny you say that. You had to hide it, because we've been hiding it for many years. Yeah. So it'd be nice when it's like, bam, here's what we've done. We didn't die and lose our shirts. It's we've had
I
great
waited
success.
until proof of concept, and then I told my mom, like, once I had already bought 10 doors and like had tenants in them and it was going well, then I like came out about it, and she was like, oh, how's it going? I was like, great. She's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Nice.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Well,
that's great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure Derek will come on and give us our outro and update on things coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, I will. Matt, you said something earlier, man. I'm sitting here taking notes as you're speaking. I love your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm and your mindset is so what the community needs and what I personally need. So real quick, Matt, you talked about mindset principles, right? And you talked about this 5-year goal you had that you turned in. It was realized in 2 months. Could you elaborate again on that? I mean, just repeat your words again. I think that was so encouraging.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you very much.
Man.
I appreciate you noticing that. It was a pivotal moment in my life, because I was really trying hard to implement the principles of OPM and creative financing, and I was really struggling. And I actually didn't know that I needed to change my mindset. I actually didn't know that I had limiting beliefs. So my now coach and now business partner asked me, what is your goal? And I said, 10 properties in 10 years. And if you say that to anyone on the street who doesn't own real estate, that's a massive goal.
Right.
And that's what I thought back then. And he said, this was October of 2023, by the way. This is not very long ago. October of 2023, he said this in a bar to me, and he said, close 5 deals by the end of the year. And a month later, I closed 3 deals in a month, put 2 more under contract, and almost closed them both. So I ended up essentially almost closing all 5 deals in the 2 months. Yeah. So I achieved a 5-year goal in 2 months. And then I realized what he was saying was so insanely true, that I had been limiting myself by my beliefs, right? And I'm infinitely capable of so much more, right? So I was all in. I got into the mindset program. I started doing 5 a.m. millionaire mornings and gratitude meditations, and I went all in. And lo and behold, he hired me as a mindset coach. So I'm now his head coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Elite Align Coaching, we're launching in Canada next week, and then the US. And I'm going to be coaching people in mindset to have results just like I got. So, which is kind of cool.
That is amazing, because you just answered my next question. I was going to say, so you did, because like he told you to shorten your goal into like by the end of the year. So and you just answered the question. So Matt decided, okay, you're telling me this, I can now do it. But you did take the action to, let's say, digest content to build your mindset to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Bob Proctor.
I'm not.
Do you know who Bob Proctor is? Jennifer, you know who Bob is.
Yeah.
So anyone in the personal development space, Bob Proctor is the GOAT. This guy studied Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure. Have you heard of the book Think and Grow Rich?
Yes, I have the book.
By Napoleon Hill. So Bob studied that book for 60 years. He read it every day for 60 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so Bob developed a system and a program called Thinking into Results. And it's all about changing how you think. So we teach Bob's program. We help, his legacy live on through all the things that he learned by studying, Napoleon Hill and like all the greats, right? Maxwell Maltz, Wallace D. Wattles. Like there are some big names that he studied. And so when I took that program, it completely changed my life. And stepping away from real estate for a second, I'll say it changed me inside. And that was really the true value, because I learned complete gratitude. So I'm a completely different person just from that. So I have 2 boys, 2 young kids. I'm a much better dad. I'm more calm. I'm more happy. I'm more present with my kids, right? I put my phone down. I play soccer. My kid wants to color. I'm coloring. Like, I used to work night shift, wake up, and I would tell myself it's okay to be tired and grumpy because you work night shift, right? This is the story we tell ourselves, right? And after taking this course, man, I'm a different beast. Like, I'm floating all the time, man. And people notice, like my wife noticed, and then her parents noticed, and like everybody's like, man, you're completely different. Like, what's going on? Right? So, anyone who is feeling that way and you feel like you need a shift, or you're kind of stuck, you have to I'm not selling anything. You need to go and just YouTube Bob Proctor. You need to get into personal development. Find a mindset coach. Doesn't have to be me. Just find someone, because I promise you, when you work on you, it changes everything. And Jennifer, she gets this because she's done the work. She understands the law of attraction. And the law of attraction, actually, the fundamental law is the law of vibration. So when you change your vibration, you emit that vibration and you attract that like vibration, right? That's the law of attraction. So when I changed my internal vibration to happiness, gratitude, giving, right? And adding value to others, and my mind shifted from how can I get to how can I give, and then everything started happening for me.
It reminds me of what you said about being at Squad Up. You're having a conversation with somebody who's over hundreds of $1 million worth of a fund, and they want to do business with you. So that makes it seem like you're saying your gratitude, your go-giveness, your vibrations really attracted that. And so, I mean, that is so rewarding to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that, Matt. You'd be surprised at how many people need to hear that. I mean, of course, I'm full of confidence. I really am. But I have my days, Matt. I do, brother. I have my days, man, where I'm like,
we all do.
I want to be encouraged, and I and that's why it's pace is really good for me personally. I'm like, I don't know what this guy drinks today, some holy elixir, but
listen, Derek, if you need an accountability partner, brother, I will light you on fire. So
would you really?
100%. Let's go.
Okay, I was going to say too, though, like, it's interesting what you're saying. I have days and stuff. I think every single person has moments, days, unfortunately, sometimes months and years. But the difference between success and unsuccessful people is how quickly you can get yourself back, right? So like learning techniques or finding your buddy, your girlfriend, whatever, right? That as soon as you're like, hey, I'm doubting, you have that person who's like, this is who you are. This is like, you're a powerhouse. Get back like as fast as you can, right? Because we all go through that. It's not like no one experiences that like self-doubt or limiting beliefs. It's just how quickly can you get back to that like highest vibration.
Yes, very well said. So true. So Matt, how can people get in touch with you? Do you have an IG, email?
Of course, I got it all. And my wife and I just started our own podcast called The Mind Method. So we're going to be on YouTube starting next week. We're launching our first 5 episodes, all about mindset and how it relates to life in general and real estate. So we're going to be on The Mind Method on YouTube, all the major platforms for podcasts. But I am on Instagram, MattP_REI. So hit me up on Instagram, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to give everything away. I mean, I've taken over $50,000 worth of courses in real estate and mindset, and I will share all my knowledge, all my experience, all my energy, everything I've learned, my network. I will give you everything. My realtors, my contractors, my brokers, everything. I will give it all away. I love helping everyone. So
you are the man, brother. I'm gonna be like, dang, Derek's a stalker now. No, Matt,
you better hit me up.
I am. Yeah. I promise you, Matt. I'm gonna hit you, brother. And for those of you guys who are in the chat who would love to share your information, if you're in the Gator community, if you're in the Sub-2 community, if you're in the TC community, and you would like to be a guest and have the wonderful Jennifer shoot some questions your way, and we get to know you, please send an email. I'm gonna put the email here to Taya at pacemorby.com. Okay. Taya's brilliant. She's like the mastermind behind all this that we were doing. And so I really encourage you all to send your emails there. Taya at pacemorby.com. Matt, again, it's an absolute privilege, man. You'll be hearing from me very soon because, I may look quite, what it is, but I mean, I have my days, man. Appreciate you, brother. But, my wife is my encourager and I love life. But, having an accountability partner is a beautiful thing, brother. So, yeah, man, I'm going to be talking to you. Jennifer, thank you once again as our amazing hostess. You're fantastic. And everyone, take care.